it was very hard watching. I'd watched all the clips that came out because it's really difficult sometimes to make informed decision from a 40-second clip. But when you look at the various clips that have come out, they give you a bigger picture. So it was extremely hard to watch, and I found it shocking and distressing. And I know that this morning, Greater Manchester have said that they've reviewed additional information, and as a result of that, they've suspended the officer. I wish that they'd actually suspended the officer straight away. I thought it was initially quite a weak response, and we didn't get a response from the actual chief constable. In cases like this, where it is so disturbing, it has an absolute massive impact on the community relations and also trust and confidence, that this warranted a higher response straight away. The initial response was a little bit shambolic, saying that, they feared that the firearms somebody would take their firearms, and so they acted. But the fact is that police officers had been assaulted, and it was quite a violent incident from beginning to end. And so there needs to be, those people that assaulted the police officers need to be dealt with. They need to be dealt with robustly. They need to be dealt with through the courts, not street justice by police officers in uniform. And the only person that can really justify the use of force is the officer in particular, because there's a lot going on. You see him kicking somebody that's on the floor, face down, and has been tasered, and he kicks him and then stomps on his head, then goes away and punches and assaults the other man who's sitting on the bench with his hands above his head. But there's other officers milling around. Nobody uses the level of force that this officer uses. So clearly there is an issue. And I think that that's what's happened this morning when Greater Manchester have viewed all the footage, and they've decided that there actually is a bigger case to answer. I mean, we should get one thing right. These are firearmed officers, which means that they have a higher level of training, because with carrying a gun comes greater responsibility. And so the training is about keeping your distance, whether you're a firearm officer or not. But clearly, if you're a firearm officer, so the training is about keeping your distance, making sure that you're able to deal with the situation calmly and professionally. And when the suspect in this case is on the floor, the training is that you should secure and remove the suspect, handcuff, take them away from the scene in order to calm that situation down. In this case, that didn't happen. And so that's what the training says. And training certainly says that if you taser somebody, then you should be giving them medical aid and monitoring them for 20 minutes. Doesn't say anything about kicking them or stomping on their head. Now, I know that there's an IOPC investigation, and all this will certainly be unraveling. The only person that can justify the use of force, the use of such force, which even Greater Manchester Police in their second statement have said is unusual and shocking. Only that officer can justify why he felt there was a threat. And if there is this, case of they feared there are, firearms could have been taken from them, then at what point did they feel that? And the officer and the other officers will have to justify exactly where the threat was and why they felt that. That man on the floor didn't look like he was going to be taking anybody's firearm. So secure and remove the subject quickly as possible to gain control of the situation and to be able to keep everything calm. Clearly didn't happen in this case. Certainly in this case, the footage is shocking and is unprecedented. So straight away, what the forces should have done, what the chief constable, in my opinion, should have done, was issued a statement straight away. And I think forces have to look at releasing the body-worn footage. And I know, obviously, there's difficulties around that, but they have to find a way to release that footage straight away in order to give a truer picture. Now, as you've said, there's been so many different clips from so many different angles that it actually puts a whole episode together rather than that initial 40-second clip, which doesn't give you a context, if there is a context to be had in this situation. So for me, it's straight away coming out with a statement and then perhaps releasing certain parts of the body-worn footage. I understand that the Greater Manchester Police have said that the officers were violently assaulted before this, and a female police officer had a broken nose. Now, that's appalling. Attacks on emergency workers are absolutely wrong, but the perpetrators should be dealt with robustly, should be dealt with through the criminal justice system. That person, the suspect on the floor, should have been handcuffed, secured, removed, charged if it needed to be charged, but it's not for officers to be meting out street justice when they're wearing the uniform. I think it's not just the community of Rochdale that's outraged. I think everybody across the world, no doubt this has gone viral, will be shocked and disturbed by what they saw. My message to anybody is that the MPs, many MPs have come out to make their statements. The mayor of Greater Manchester, they all need to be calming the situation, meeting leaders, community leaders, reassuring the community, and to be able to work together. There's enough people out there that are causing division, that are spreading their hatred. You only need to look on X at this very moment, and they're addressing it as the Muslims. The Muslims are coming out. The Muslims deserve this. We need to take back we need to take back Britain. That's complete nonsense. Rhetoric like that is the dividing force, and it needs to stop because there's enough division. Look at the facts. Look at the fact that the individual has been suspended. There has been action, and go through the right procedures of waiting for the IOPC investigation, which, by the way, I hope is quick, transparent, and there is accountability, because that's the key. But I think everybody has to work together. There's enough division, enough people trying to divide everybody. Everybody needs to keep a calm head and actually deal with this. There is a due process which is taking place. And what happened at the airport will hopefully unfold in the investigation by the IOPC. Only the officer who was there can justify his actions to why he needed to kick and re-kick a man on the ground, and why also he feared that his firearm could be taken, because that's the justification. And so at what point, I think we need to go through the whole of the video, which Greater Manchester have so much material now, and the IOPC, but there needs to be quick, it needs to be robust, and there needs to be accountability. This is not just for the community of Rochdale. This is for everybody, everywhere in England, that needs to have that, whether you're in the Met or, wherever it is. Every person needs accountability, regardless of what color you are, what religion you are, where you come from. This affects you, me, and everybody out there. When we're dealing with the police service, we need to know that there's a fair, equitable police service who will deal with people regardless of what they've done. They will deal with them in line with their training. As far as I can see, from what I can see, and I may be proved wrong, this did not happen in the case of that particular officer.